Into the Unknown, the making of Frozen 2 proves that Frozen should have been a lot gayer. Intrigued? Stick around for my SJW agenda. Hi, my name is Annie. I like to watch movies and TV, and I draw a lot. This is hopefully a brief episode of Couch Potato Artist. So I finally got Disney Plus, and it is the best decision I've ever made. Not sponsored. I watched Onward last night, and I'm currently watching the making of Frozen 2, and I loved both of them, / am currently loving this documentary. I've cried like every episode. It's insanely inspiring to be watching it while I'm working on my own creative projects, and I think it's just really obvious that everyone involved is a really talented and hardworking, patient, receptive, respectful person, and I think that that is awesome. However, in light of Onward and the struggles they had specifically with the song Show Yourself, everything makes sense now. I did make a video on Frozen 2, and at the time I was very timid about the fact that it was a bit of a negative review, which is funny in light of the fact that like a lot of the stuff on my channel now is kind of going in the direction of being a little bit more critical. But my main thing that I stated in that video was that I felt like it never had any follow through, that it lacked direction, and that a lot of the branding and emotional weight of the franchise relies on it being a sibling story, a sister story, and yet we never really, again, fully explore or commit to the sister relationship, which is something that I feel Onward does super well. So obviously spoilers for Onward and for Frozen, kind of. Here are just my reflections and personal thoughts. First of all, I don't mean to be a bisexual Midas in the sense that everything I touch becomes gay instead of gold, or gay and gold. However, Elsa's story feels very queer to me. I don't even think that it necessarily has to be explicitly queer, although of course I would have celebrated and appreciated that. But if we view it from a progression of her character through the 3 major songs, being Let It Go, Into the Unknown, and Show Yourself, I think that we can kind of better understand the arc that should have happened and didn't. So with Let It Go, if we view it through a queer lens, again, not even necessarily having to make this explicitly a queer story, but I see that as coming out to yourself, admitting that you are a certain way and embracing that. And then Into the Unknown is this desire to share that and connect with the outside world, but having some understandable fear and excitement about that. And then Show Yourself in the final version as is about Elsa realizing that she has been the one that she's been wanting to connect with. But if this is a desire to connect with the outside world, with others, to not only embrace yourself for who you are, as she kind of already did in Let It Go, shouldn't Show Yourself be about connecting with someone else? And if we also want to remedy the problem of just in general there not being super authentic sister interactions, why not have Anna turn out to be the one that she's been waiting for? You know, all of my life. Don't sing, Annie. Don't ever do that again. Which I think was actually really well done in Onward. It really hit home when Ian realizes that he's been wanting this connection with his father and someone to share his life with, only to realize that he does have someone to share his life with. It's been Barley this whole time. It's been his brother instead. And like how that celebrates different types of families and like the importance of sibling relationships was so genuine and was not celebrated enough. I was really shocked to see that this did not get better reviews. I absolutely loved it. And this is coming from someone who really doesn't like the D&D style tropes of fantasy, but honestly, this like almost made me want to play D&D. It was like Dungeons and Dragons meets John Hughes, and I thought it was adorable. I really, really enjoyed it, and I was not expecting to. Maybe it partially did take me by surprise in that way, and that added to it. So coming back to how this could have worked for Frozen, I think if, again, they'd had more follow through with this idea of carrying the character arcs and the sibling relationship and how Elsa is continuing even beyond the first movie to push Anna away and realize with Show Yourself that Elsa has been struggling to be herself and is afraid that no one else will accept her, only to realize that Anna has always loved and accepted her. And that voice that's been calling out to her is her family. And something that I think was very creative and clever of me, and something that could perhaps fix all of like the confused fantasy stuff that happens in Frozen 2 is, stay with me here, but what if in Frozen 2, by going to the magic river, whatever, they discover that Anna has fall powers, like the season, autumn. Like, what if you reworked this initial idea so that these characters journeying into the magic forest slowly awakens the powers that exist within Anna, which honestly also would just work from a marketing standpoint. Suddenly, Kristen Bell is joining Idina in whipping around some leaves and changing colors and whatnot. I don't know, come up with some better fall powers. And, well, we're probably going to be selling some more Anna dolls and having a whole lot more little girls wanting to dress up as her too. Not for nothing, but just consider it. And then in turn, discovering those powers, again, Elsa realizes like, oh, Anna's the person that actually loves and accepts me and supports me and understands me. Like this idea that no one else could understand this power that she has to wield, and then to realize that Anna actually has that power as well, and they can kind of help each other grow and accept that together would be really cool. I think it would present some plot holes that you would have to remedy, but if you had the actual time to rework it, unlike the seemingly crazy deadlines that these creative people had to work under, then you could make it work. And then you would also have summer and spring unexplained. And so then you could have potential for like a whole 2 other movies where they realize that they've had like lost sisters and didn't know it. And so Show Yourself is not only revealing Anna for who she is and how Elsa and Anna are more connected than we previously thought, but also revealing this larger family connection, which would also remedy the plot hole of why the Magic River is calling out to Elsa now. I forget if they actually explain that in the movie or not, to be fair. But the question is, like, why now? Like, I also think that the screenplay just suffers from, like, a lack of cause and effect. But if the sisters of Spring and Summer were calling out, then they would be the actual voice. They would be the magical Aurora. It's another mystery that we get to unfold. It's a fun way to expand the world building and to embrace the fantasy elements. It would have just fixed so much if they had realized earlier on basic things like what Elsa's character arc needed to be. Coming out to herself. Again, not necessarily gay, although I would have liked more gay. But as someone who has magical powers, I guess you could say being gay is pretty magical, but that's neither here nor there. Having that desire to share that with others instead of just being out to herself, and then realizing that she has been able to share that because, you know, do you want to build a snowman? What did we say about the singing? And that someone understands her on like a whole different magical cool level. And that's why I'm always such a big advocate for outlining and more minimalistic storytelling, because even though Jennifer Lee seems like a really cool person, I think that her fatal mistake was taking that sort of diary writing approach. I think by viewing your characters as like OCs or original characters and kind of being a little bit more fanficky about it, it's very easy to, get lost in the woods. I'm sorry, it's so bad. Like, your stories need to have soul and life and authenticity in them. But if you zone in on really particular stuff first rather than big picture stuff, yeah, you're gonna get lost. And realizing that kind of reinvigorated just how passionate I am about comics and the fact that I get to rework my stories and kind of tell the stories on my own terms and not have to worry about like studios breathing down my neck. Comics are so cool, man. We get to do everything. I do love animation and film, but it is so collaborative and I am such a control freak. Like, I could never do it. I do think that's also why so many like auteurs have emerged from studios like A24, because there's not as many cooks in the kitchen. And there's more of a celebration of story and the independent creator. I almost think there's an empowering takeaway from that. The fact that a big budget can actually kind of be a way to convolute a narrative. So wow, a video essay that didn't have to be an hour. Who'd have thought? It can be done once more. Maybe I'll try to do more of these briefer ones again and treat the more highly edited, super researched videos as like a deep dive. But what did you think overall? Do you agree or disagree on my analysis of what should have been Elsa's character arc? What do you think about my ideas for expanding the world building and kind of fixing the fantasy of Frozen 2? And do you have any thoughts on being an independent creator and kind of the fact that Disney presented such a beautiful documentary that really celebrated its artists and at the same time kind of shed some light on some of the unfortunate consequences of the fact that these people are put on such strict deadlines? Very thought-provoking, I think. What do you think? Anyway, until next time, bye.